Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another webinar. We are here with Alex, who is the king of video content, and he's going to be diving into more of why do you need video testimonials to leverage your content and to increase your sales. I'm Chynna. I'm the founder of Vidlo, and I would love Alex to introduce himself and tell us a little bit more about your background.
For sure. Well, China, very happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I am a video content strategist, so I help brands grow through video and anything from brand videos to social media videos to testimonials. Those are some of my favorites. So, very excited to dive into the whole world of video testimonials.
Awesome. Well, before we started this, I told Alex that he was the king of video content because he really knows how to leverage videos in order to increase the ROI that you need for your brand. So before we get started into these fun, actionable insights, I want to ask Alex, what is a video testimonial? So for people that don't know, right? What is a video testimonial? And then why do brands need it? What's the power in them?
For sure. So, a testimonial, just starting with that, is very simply a story told through your customer's eyes. It makes your customer the main character, and that makes it very relatable to potential leads you have. And a video testimonial is just one step beyond that. It's, hearing your customer's story in their voice, seeing their facial expression, seeing their hand gestures, and really getting the emotion that comes through in a testimonial. And the great thing about video testimonials is you can actually repurpose them into other types of testimonials, whether that's text testimonials, whether that's social graphic testimonials. It can all be done through a video testimonial. So it's a great flywheel of content that you can benefit from.
Oh, hold on. I want to touch on that a little bit. So when it comes to how you can really repurpose the content, right? Which type of use case do you like the most when it comes to repurposing your video testimonial for text, for carousel? Like, what's your favorite type? What works the best, I would say.
For sure. Yeah. So a video testimonial, typically you're going to be, either asking a customer to kind of tell their story, and it might take a few minutes, up to 10 minutes, whatever that time may be. And so that's a great content you can pull from. And my favorite thing to repurpose is into short social videos because you can focus on just one aspect of your customer's testimonial and really blow it out into a quick to the point video that's going to be entertaining, that your audience is going to relate to, and it's really going to show the transformation that your product or service helped them with.
Oh, I like that. Just because even with some of our clients, we focus on short form content, short form videos, right? And I think what really works with that is that we're living a time and now people have short attention spans, right? So how can you get your customers talking about you that's short to the point, and people can just understand exactly your value is right away. So I think that's the power of short form. Would you say that? That's the power of short form
Yeah,
video?
for sure. Just to jump off your point, we live in kind of this social mediafication of everything age. And so people expect, entertaining, informative, funny content that they can relate to. And short video is really king these days. And that's kind of the easiest way to make an impact. So, telling that customer story in a short video is really kind of some of the highest kind of ROI on that investment that you're making to get a testimonial.
Oh, I completely agree. So we know why the power of video testimonials. So what are some ways that brands can really capture these testimonials from their customers easily? Like what are some tactics they can use?
Sure. So this is an interesting question because admittedly, getting a video testimonial is not as easy as just a pure text testimonial.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of, use what we have. So platforms like Vidlo are great tools to capture video testimonials at scale. You can, quite easily, through a platform like Vidlo, send out a link to the customers you want to get testimonials from. They can click on the link, record a short testimonial, and you get the footage. So that's one, great option to do it. And the other thing I wanted to mention is, obviously these days people are much more comfortable with remote recording. This isn't like 2019 where, people had their cameras covered or, were filming outside. Everyone kind of knows kind of the best practices for recording remotely. So it's a much better time to take advantage of, getting remote testimonials. Obviously, in person is going to make kind of the biggest impact, but remote testimonial is maybe, 10% less engaging, but it's so much easier and it's so much more cost effective to get that I really encourage people to look into doing that.
Hmm. There's a couple points that you made that I want to tap back into. So when it comes to, I think before the pandemic, right? When we think of video testimonials, we think of like these professional testimonial videos, and they're really like, they're really pretty, they're professional, they're like top of the line, right? And what I notice is that in this day and time, the most authentic videos are the ones that are converting the most, right? So it's the ones that are recorded on someone's device. It looks natural. It looks like it's not like a production. Would you say that's working well that you've seen is more like authentic video content from your customers?
Yes, and you were kind of talking about testimonials from a few years ago, how kind of polished they look. I would also add a lot of them can be boring. They, can start off with the company's logo. They take, 20 to 30 seconds to kind of set the scene. And they kind of go through these kind of boring interviews, not in a fun, interesting way. And so they look really polished and they look great. But as you said, I think authentic testimonials have a lot more ROI. And that's because, you're really trying to hold up a mirror to your leads who you want would like to become customers. You want them to feel seen. So if you're showing an authentic customer who has similar problems to the leads you're trying to convert, they will see themselves in the testimonial. And the more authentic it is, the more powerful that's going to be. So I think that ties into kind of the recording remote aspect of it, where, you're not asking a whole day to film some testimonials. You just want 10 minutes, 5 minutes even of someone's time. And it can be, at home, it can be in their workplace, depending on the product or service they're using, wherever they are, wherever they're comfortable. And getting that authentic story is, I feel, just so much more effective than, all the bells and whistles to make it look pretty.
I agree. And it also comes to the point of, what story are you trying to create through the testimonials? And then how do you ask your customer that question, right? I think a lot of times brands, they want the video testimonials, but they're not really creating a story or creating questions that really answers a pain point that their prospective customers might have. So I'd love to talk about that a little bit as well in terms of like the story of your testimonials is how do you ask your customers questions that's really going to pretty much relieve a pain point that you're trying to solve.
Yep, no, I love that you brought that up, China, because I see so many testimonials that just talk about, well, their customer service was great,
Uh-huh.
and don't really go into the details of the real transformation that that product or service might have made for that customer.
Yeah.
So, as you said, I feel like telling a story and asking the right questions are just so important. So I like to kind of structure it, just to, take a 20,000 foot view. I like to kind of structure it as kind of a 3 act story,
Okay.
starting with, as you mentioned, the pain point, the problem, whatever it is. For example, if you're looking for testimonials for like an accounting software, well, maybe your client, their books were a mess. And they were not, they weren't able to run their business because they were spending all this time trying to get their books in order. Um, maybe your product is a shoe. I'm a runner, so maybe the customer is having a hard time reaching their running goals because their feet were always hurting. So whatever that problem is, you kind of start off with that, and that creates immediate relationship between your customer and the person watching the video because they can raise their hand and say, "Yep, I have that problem too." So it's kind of immediate connection.
Okay.
And then the second part is, starting to use your product or service. We found your company, we researched, we found your product, and we started to use it. And then the third step is the transformation. I like to focus on one big transformation in their life. Maybe that's I started making more money. I saved time. I feel healthier. Whatever that is, that kind of emotional transformation is what's really going to stick with the person watching the video. So that's kind of the point I'm trying to make is that 3X structure, the problem, encountering your product or service, and then the transformation at the end of what happened as a result of your product or service.
Oh, I love that breakdown. So the question I have for that is a lot of times when I talk to our clients or someone's on our platform, right? They're creating a campaign, and I always try to tell them be very specific about your question about your prompt, right? Because a lot of times we want to give them all these questions because we want them to create the full story for us. But I think it's so thoughtful when you can just give them one thoughtful question and they can give you a really good response, and then you can leverage that for however you want to, right? So when it comes to your 3 times your breakdown, would you say they should choose which one they want to create a question around, or do they need a question that fits all three of those points?
No, I would be specific, like you said, and try to formulate a question for each stage of that story.
Um,
Because you really want to keep your questions kind of open-ended. You're not asking questions for you to talk. You're asking questions for your customer to talk. You want to hear their story. So you want to ask an open-ended question. As you said, a question for what was their problem, a question for, talking about your product or service, and then a question about what was the transformation, what were the benefits, what did you see change, whatever that question is, and you really want to tailor it to the industry and the product that you're talking about. But you really want to get, this, as I said, a lot of people are going to say, oh, their customer service was great. That
Deeper.
that's not really an effective testimonial. Yeah. Yeah. You really want to get specific, and you might have to ask kind of probing questions to really get those specific details.
Mm.
And, you even might have some follow-up questions in mind if you aren't quite getting the details you want of that first question. So I like to treat it just as a conversation, where it's not an interview. It's just a conversation. It's like you met someone on the street. Again, going back to my shoe example, you're like, "Oh, I saw you running. Are those shoes working for you?" And you're just interested. You're just asking about how they found the shoes. What has changed since they bought the shoes, and you can go on from there, kind of making it into a conversation.
Oh, I love that because I think it goes to a point of knowing who your customer is, who that customer is, and if they're the right customer to tell that story as well, right? So I
Yep.
think a lot of times we want to just ask everyone the same question, but you have to figure out exactly why that customer loves you, why can they tell that story for you, and then really how are they going to resonate with the audience that needs to hear it, you know? Um,
Yep.
Once you do that, then you could go to Alex strategy and then figure out what type of questions based on the 3 points that you need to ask that specific customer, you know? Um,
Yeah, you can really break it down, quite a bit because, different customers are using your product or service for different things and they're getting different benefits out of that. So everyone's story is going to be a little bit different. So trying to think about, your current customers, the industries they're in, the products they like, and trying to match that to the leads you're attempting to get is a great strategy because then you can feel like there's a connection between your current customers and the leads you're meeting, and you're building that community where everyone is benefiting.
I love it. You're talking to them directly. You're talking to them to get their pain points, and then you're creating opportunities to actually talk to them in video form. But it's not you talking, right? It's your customer talking because a lot of times brands want to talk all day long. We know, but we know you think your brand's amazing, right? But when we hear it from authentic people, your actual customers, they look real, they feel relatable. Oh, that's gonna supercharge your awareness and your sales so much because now it's a familiar face that I think I can trust, right? I think that's the power also that you're referring to in the beginning of like why video content is so important, you know?
Yep, yep. So yeah, just to jump off your point, 90% of consumers are going to trust a testimonial more than they would the company saying the same thing themselves. So that's a huge number and a huge advantage for video testimonials. People
Wow.
just, trust
people.
other customers talking about you more than you talking about yourself.
It's true.
Uh,
Okay, yeah, this is very true. It's very true.
yeah. I like to use the example of, let's say you're trying to find a babysitter for your kids.
Okay.
If Mary Poppins, sent you her resume, but a neighbor said, "Oh, I have this babysitter that's awesome," you're gonna trust your neighbor more than you would trust Mary Poppins' resume, even though she has, 20 years of experience and is great with kids, blah blah blah. You're going to trust that other customer a lot more. So I think it's just so powerful to be able to use video testimonials in your content and in your sales process.
And I love that. I love that example that you put. And I think that's why video testimonials perform so much more than text is because, first of all, all of it's word of mouth, right? Even text testimonials word of mouth. But when you
Yep.
actually see the person, right? And then someone I know is actually vouching for the person, and I see how like excited they are. I see their emotions. I see kind of more so just how real the conversation is. That's why that's why I don't want Mary Poppins. That's why I rather go to my neighbor because I trust my neighbor because of their, of their word.
Real, it's authentic. Yeah, for
So
sure. For sure.
our clients, right? They're getting the content using either Vidlo, they're doing their own remote recording. So they have all this content. And now I'm getting to the most exciting part of the conversation because I think it's going to be a lot of gems dropped is once you're getting all this content coming in, you create a video campaign, you send it out to your audience, you're getting this content. How does a brand leverage the content in order to bring more brand awareness and to increase their sales? Now, before we answer that question, I want to have a pre-question, and that is, what's the difference between brand awareness and sales when it comes to how you leverage your video?
For sure. So, you know, I'll try and simplify this. And obviously, when a customer is engaging with your brand, it usually takes a lot of touch points and a lot of interactions before they actually decide to purchase.
Okay.
So, a lot of people think about it as a funnel where you have kind of, top of funnel awareness, middle of funnel, decision making, and then bottom of the funnel when they're actually deciding to make this purchase. So you want to, and people are jumping around within the funnel. People go down the funnel and then go back to the top. But just for simplicity's sake, that's kind of how I like to think about it.
Okay.
So you want to be able to have content that's going to, interact with leads at every point of that funnel.
Okay.
So with video is great for that because it can become a flywheel. So you can have short, social type videos at the top of funnel, and that's going to drive awareness.
Okay.
And then you can have, short, longer, I would say, still short, but longer testimonials in mid funnel, which is going to, engage people and kind of remove doubt in their mind. And then bottom of funnel, you might have a product demo or a brand video. And the bottom of funnel is when people are really interested in what you're saying and they're hooked. But they want to remove a little more doubt or take a little bit more convincing. So, but they're interested. They're
Okay.
willing to kind of watch a longer video about your brand.
Okay.
So anyway, the point I'm trying to make is through repurposing, you can really, insert video content into all stages of that customer journey.
Now, a question I have is, can you break down the different types of funnels? So what does a top of the funnel look like, right? So that's when you're putting in your short form content. What is the example of that? So that clients, our customers can know, okay, where do I place this on top of the funnel, beginning of the funnel?
Sure. So top of funnel is really awareness, and you want to think about it as, someone who's not aware of your brand for the first time kind of interacting with your brand.
Okay.
So that's probably someone who has not visited your website. They're just either on social media or they're on other websites. So, top of funnel is very, good for social media content as
Okay.
well as for advertising because you're trying to reach people who are not aware of you,
Okay.
and you're trying to make a quick impact. So you want it to be visual. You want it to be really engaging. You want a lot of times you want it to be about them and not so much your company or about the industry they're in or the hobbies they're interested in,
Okay.
whatever it is. You want to kind of engage them on their terms and the place they're at.
Okay.
So does that make sense for
Yeah, that
top of
makes sense.
funnel?
Yeah, so a brand is capturing content, right? They're capturing this video testimonials, and they're figuring out how do I leverage this on top of funnel. How they leverage it on top of funnel is through social media platforms, sharing it on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, right?
Yep.
Facebook, right? So
Yeah,
that
YouTube. Yep.
people
Facebook. Yep.
YouTube, YouTube is such a great platform that I think it's not utilized enough when it comes to brands using for video testimonials. But yeah,
For
YouTube.
sure.
And then maybe your homepage of your website, maybe is that a good top of funnel?
To me, people at the top of funnel aren't even at your website yet.
Okay,
They
okay,
might, they might be on your TikTok page, but they haven't made that jump to your
got it.
website. So I
Okay,
like to keep that for kind of mid funnel.
okay. So social media and UGC ads, right? That is our
Yep,
top,
yep.
right? So then now we got them top of funnel, right? We have gotten them to our website. So explain what that middle funnel is for brands to use video testimonials.
For sure, for sure. So that mid funnel is consideration. So they're aware of your brand, and now they want a little more information. So they decide to click on your website, and they're willing to spend a minute kind of scrolling through. So a video at the top of your homepage is a great way to engage them.
Okay.
You know, everyone everyone knows that kind of video is going to be more engaging than text or images. It pulls people in more. And again, especially with the social mediaification of everything, people are expecting an entertaining, kind of interesting journey on your website. So video is a great way to do that. But again, you want to keep it short. A mid-funnel person, a mid-funnel lead is probably only going to want to spend a minute or two on their website before they're back to TikTok or back to LinkedIn or whatever, whatever they were doing. So
Okay.
you want to, again, keep it pretty short, get to the point, but you can talk a little bit more about your company, your product or service. You don't want to get too much in the weeds, but give them a little bit more idea of the benefits. And again, that can be done through testimonials. That doesn't need to be your company talking about it. Video testimonials are a great way to talk a little bit more about your company, again, from your customer's perspective. So it's going to be very trustworthy. But
Okay.
it's a great way to kind of talk about the benefits that your product or service is doing for them.
Oh, I like that. So when it comes to, before we go to the last funnel, right? When it comes to mid funnel, besides having it on your website, is there any other places they can leverage it to kind of hone into them when they have them for that 1 second of, and then
For
they're
sure. Yeah. So, I like to think about that mid funnel as, your website, your social media pages. We talked a little bit about YouTube, but someone who is in the awareness stage, might click on your YouTube channel and they might start kind of just scrolling through your YouTube videos. So having some videos in there then kind of grab attention and talk a little bit more about your company and your customers are a great way to do it. You can also do retargeting ads. That's another part of mid funnel. So you can target leads who have engaged with your social media posts through Google ads or through LinkedIn ads or social ads. You're basically getting your content in front of people who are already kind of aware of your product or service. They're already a little bit interested. So
okay.
it's a great way to kind of segment the audience that you're trying to reach.
Got it. Okay, so that's a good point in terms of, and I think that's a strategy that a lot of brands need to take advantage of because you want to keep them on top of mind, right? And if you're
Oh,
retargeting them, they're seeing your brand and they want to come back to your website to say, hold on, I think I saw them earlier today. Let me see exactly what they're doing, right? So keeping that loop going. Okay,
and
so we got the first step. They're aware, right? They're so aware now they're at our website for the mid funnel. We're educating them, we're showing them our clients. They might go to our YouTube channel. And then what is the last step of the funnel? How do we close it in?
yep, yep. So you want to convert those leads who are, traveling down to the bottom of your funnel. So at this point, you're almost trying to address doubts or questions they might have about your product Again, going back to an accounting software you're selling, well, they might have doubts about, how easy is it to use? Am I going to have trouble kind of learning the product? So, that's where it's a great place, again, for video testimonials, because you can have customers talking about the onboarding process was so easy. They were so helpful. It just made sense, the software, when I started using it. So you can really kind of, combat that doubt that might be in your lead's mind.
Okay.
So, and again, at that point in the funnel, they're very aware of your product. They're considering it in their mind, and they kind of want more information. So they're willing to spend some more time. So at
Okay.
that point, you don't need to limit yourself to, 10 to 15-second videos. You can go a minute, 2 minutes, even 10 minutes if the value is there. At
Right.
that point in the bottom of the funnel, they're going to be willing to watch that. They want to do the research. They want to learn more about it. So having, again, going back to video testimonials, having those in the can that you can use and repurpose is a great, great tool for those bottom of the funnel leads.
Oh, I like that. So the bottom of the funnel is pretty much we're willing them in, right? We're trying to get that sale. We made them aware.
Yep.
We kind of comfort in that middle tier of giving them more information. And then now it's kind of like, let's close it, right? Let's close the sale. So pretty much, I think another point to say is that, you have to be very specific on the testimonials you share at each level, right? The testimonials and the awareness phase is not going to be the same type of questions you're asking your customers to share that's going to be on the last funnel. So being aware of what's going to be the closer, I think is very, very important. Would you say?
Yeah, that's a great point, China. Thank you for bringing that up. So yeah, top of funnel, you don't want to get into the weeds. You really want to stick with that ending transformation. I'm making more money. I'm saving time. I have less stress. You basically just want the result of that transformation because that's going to show how great your product or service is. And that's all anyone's going to really be paying attention to at the top of funnel. They're going to be immediately, they'll watch for a few seconds and then scrolling by. So you kind of want to start with that. And then as you go down the funnel, you can start getting more into the details, with your testimonial. What was the process of starting to use your product? How did your life change over the days or weeks? Really get into the story of it and really show that transformation from, beginning to end.
Okay.
And then, again, those pain points, you want to kind of bring those up again at bottom of funnel because that's really, what people are struggling with, and to remind them of that,
Mhm.
is reminding them, oh yeah, I am really struggling with that problem, and
Mhm.
then showing them through the testimonial how that problem got solved is just, a really powerful reminder.
Yeah. And you know what? You're creating a story in itself. You're creating a three-part story, like we said before, right? It's how do we bring them on this journey of like you're aware, and then now it's like someone is really solving your problem. You can't say no because it's so authentic that it's kind of like I need
Yep.
this in my life, right?
Yep.
Thank you for sharing that because I think it's super visual, and I think brands will really be able to now create a story of them for themselves on how they can leverage the testimonials throughout their sales flow. So what are some other ways? I always tell clients there's so many ways, hundreds of ways you can leverage video content, whether it's like proposals, email campaigns, social media. So what are some other like ways you've seen that really converts well? That how brands can also utilize their video testimonials.
Yep. So as you said, China, there's a ton of different ways to use video.
Yeah.
That's I love video. I'm a big proponent for it, but I really do feel like you're just repurposing a video just makes it so powerful
Mhm.
because video can be repurposed into audio. It can be repurposed into graphics. It can be repurposed into images. It can be repurposed into blog posts. It can be repurposed into text. There's just so many ways you can repurpose it. And especially in, 2024 and going into 2025, there's so many channels that you can repurpose all those different things into. And so many channels are really betting big on video and really promoting video. Before we hopped on here, China, we were talking about the LinkedIn video feed and how they're, really trying to drive awareness and engagement through there. And, obviously it's just a copy of TikTok and Instagram, but it is, that's just a fact that people are more
Funny.
engaged by short form video. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just a great channel. So, again, backing up a little bit, but taking a bigger view, video can be repurposed to your website. Video can be repurposed to social. It can repurpose to email, to ads, like you mentioned, to sales decks,
Mhm.
to product display pages on Amazon.
Mm.
It can be repurposed internally and training, new employees coming on board.
Yeah.
Zoom even has a feature where there's a waiting room video where before you hop on, you can, load up a video that your lead can watch before you start the meeting. So yeah, there's a
Cool.
lot of cool ways to use video.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but let's touch on that a bit because so many brands are doing demo calls on Zoom, right? And we're taking calls on
Yep.
Zoom. What do you think is the ROI of that? What is the feeling you think that gets when you could see a video before you even start the call? What do you think's the win of that, specifically on Zoom?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, the easy thing to say would be, oh, we can do a video on Zoom in the waiting room. Well, let's put our brand story on. I would actually argue a compilation of testimonials would be much more effective because again, it's relating your lead to your current customers and telling their stories instead of telling your story. And people are just going to be more interested in that, and that's going to be more dynamic than another brand video.
Got it.
So I think that's, and again, it's a small use case, but getting your lead kind of in the mode, getting them thinking about their pain points, making them feel seen. Oh, I have that problem as well. That can be just super effective. And it just kind of, you still have to make the sale. You still have to, discover what their specific problems are.
Yeah.
But you have this starting point of understanding, hopefully, that will really kind of get the ball rolling in the meeting.
Got it. That's the strategy I think I might even do for myself, right? It's kind of I want Zooms every day, all day. And it's kind of how do we warm up the lead in terms of, showing them some of our clients that really love what we're building, right? And maybe the pain points that they have, because that's why they're
Yep.
on call, is something that our clients have already talked about. And so as soon as they get in the meeting, they already kind of have an understanding of this is why I need the platform because
Yep.
oh, I think we're gonna pin that. That's a good bit you drop there.
Yeah, yeah. If I can add one thing to that, people have doubt. People are skeptical that you're going to be able to help them.
Yeah,
So trying to, assuage that doubt can be really powerful. And again, your customer saying it is going to be just so much more trustworthy than you saying it. People are not going to trust you right away.
yeah.
But if you have some of your customers, saying how great your product is, that just it makes you more trustworthy and it really sets the stage. So yeah, it can be really effective.
Listen, we're gonna use that. I'm gonna pin that. A question I have for you is, as a video strategist, right, and a video expert, what has been your favorite use case that you've seen of how a brand has leveraged video testimonials? When you saw the ROI, you're like, oh, this is a super high ROI that I think other brands can also leverage it this way. What would you say is that use case?
For sure. Yeah, definitely. So I like to go back to the website because I like to think about kind of mid, bottom of funnel. And that's to me, that's kind of the lowest hanging fruit. And that's almost where I would start. Because once you're getting people to the website, they do tend, once they go through that funnel, they are tending to make a decision because they're already aware of you and they're doing research. They're deciding what they think and if they should go forward. So I feel like especially today, there's just so many possibilities with your website to make tweaks that can really have a huge effect on your ROI and your sales.
Got it.
So, I video is such a great thing to be able to incorporate into your website. It's not going to be everything, Obviously there's still going to be text and images and graphics and, maybe chats, and, forms the customer can fill out in games, whatever it is. But video really gives you that full media kind of rich experience. And again, it's what people expect. They're on TikTok, they expect to be entertained and interested when they go to their website, or they're going to click off. So, an
Okay.
easy way to do that is with video. So, you want to incorporate video, I recommend into a lot of the sections of your website.
Okay.
And, video does not have to work on its own. It can work in concert with your text and your images. But again, it's just going to be so much more engaging. And the other point I like to mention is that part of your audience is going to want to read your website. Part of your audience is going to want to skim it. A big part of your audience will want to watch a video if that is available to them on their website.
Mhm.
So I'm not saying get rid of text. I'm
Mhm.
saying, have the video as a supporting piece for your overall website.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So, video can kind of it can incorporate, above the fold on your homepage. You can have a client story page where you just have a bunch of your clients talking about, how great your product is. On your specific product pages, you can have specific testimonials talking about how that particular product helped them with their problem.
Okay.
Your About Us page, which is actually one of the highest pages people go to when they're visiting a website. So, it's great to have, a your story video talking about your company, but also sprinkle in some testimonials because that's about you too. That's part of your community, part of your company, part of
Mm.
the fan base you're building. So that can be really effective there as well. So I think, I do think there's a lot of opportunity for websites to incorporate video and have kind of a big increase in sales from that.
I love your breakdown because I think pretty much what you're saying is you need to sprinkle. I think we have to view video testimonials as like its own superpower, right? We're not saying that like, oh my gosh, it's going to change your world. Well, we are saying that it's going to change your world a little bit, right? But what I'm saying is when you add it on to what you have already, it just raises a level, right? It's like a superpower that really converts well. It gets people talking about your brand. It makes people remember your brand because you can remember something so visual, right? So like you said, sprinkle it throughout your website, wherever you think you want to focus on, or what that's gonna best convert your customers. And I
Yep.
love your example about the about me section, just because, like you said, you want to hear what your customers have to say about you, right? We know what you think about you, but if there's a testimonial about like why your community loves you, and why you started your company, that's gonna just translate your story so much more, you know?
Yes, yes, for sure. And especially through video. As you said before, it's video is just so more emotional and
Yeah,
so more immediate and makes such a bigger impact on the person watching it that, to not use video is really missing an opportunity, especially today where it's become a lot easier than it was, even 5 years ago,
yeah.
because of platforms like Vidlo and remote recording.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So now we have the strategy on how they can leverage the content, right? So as brands are leveraging the content, what are some win-wins they should be looking out for? Like, what is a win when it comes to how you can leverage content that's either going to lead to brand awareness or to sales? Because they're two different things. I know we were talking about this before. Can you let us know the difference between using video content, video testimonials for brand awareness, and then using it to actually convert sales? What's the difference, and how do you play on both of them?
Yeah, for sure. So, brand awareness, you're trying to educate and engage people who are maybe not that aware of your brand. They may not even be aware of the industry you're in or the tool you're making.
Yeah,
So, using video to kind of explain all about your brand and all about your story and your product or service is a great way to kind of build awareness, especially because, again, people are on TikTok, they're on LinkedIn, they're on social, they're on YouTube, they're watching videos. So to be
yeah,
able to, publish videos, whether it's through ads or through native content, and get in their feeds is a great way to build brand awareness.
Okay.
And now each time they watch one of your videos, they're going to be a little bit more aware. And oh yeah, I remember that brand. I watched a video about them a little while ago. And it takes a lot of, it takes a lot of touch points. It takes, 20, 30 touch points for people to kind of remember your brand.
Yeah.
So, that's a whole separate thing before we even get to the sale.
Okay.
It's just brand awareness. That's
Okay.
kind of the first step, making, your potential leads, make sure they're aware of you.
So what's a win for that, right? How do we know we're doing it right? What should I really want if I'm just using video testimonials for brand awareness? What does that win look like for me? What should I look out for to know that I'm doing it right?
For sure. So you want to look at, engagement on your videos as well as kind of engagement on your social pages. So
Okay.
you want to, are people, giving a thumbs up to your video? Are they resharing them? Are they commenting on them? And then over time, as they see more videos, they might give a thumbs up to two or three videos, and then they're going to click on your social page and become a fan of you or your company's social page on TikTok or Instagram or LinkedIn. So that's kind of the second step of brand awareness. And now, they're aware of you. And now you're going to be able to, publish more videos that are going to show up in their feed, and you can kind of, start to take them down that funnel, as they're aware.
Got it. Oh, okay. So the breakdown there is the win for brand awareness is engagement, brand reach, right? Engagement, social engagement, how many times someone has viewed your video testimonial, right? And that can
Yep.
also let you know if that video testimonial is working or not, right? Is it really converting well? Or do you need to ask a different question and get someone else to do a video testimonial, right? So a lot of it's A/B testing just to make sure that you have the right, the right content that's really going to convert, whether it's for social media amplification or awareness or for sales.
Yes, and that's a great thing about doing this at scale. Instead of just getting one video testimonial and relying on that, you can get, 5, 10, 15 testimonials, and you can experiment, like you said, A/B test.
Yeah.
Use one testimonial for a week and then, use another testimonial, or edit one testimonial two different ways.
Yeah.
Start with a different hook. So you can really get granular and really, like you said, see what is engaging and double down on that.
I love that you said that. I love that you said that just because I always tell brands you should be capturing content throughout the year, right? Because you never know when that perfect testimonial is going to come or when someone's actually going to talk to a need of a customer, a prospective customer that you need to talk to, right? So you should never stop your testimonial growth. It should be throughout the year, putting into different touch points of how you can capture that content and then switching it out throughout the year to see which works and what doesn't, right? That I think that's key in kind of having the content to actually test with.
Yes, and if I can just add something to your point, yeah, I totally agree. And I think, you're going to be coming out with new products, new services. Your
Yeah.
customers are going to discover different ways to use your products. They're going to discover benefits from your product that you might not even have known.
Mm,
So, keeping your eye on the ball and keeping your pulse on your customers is just a great way to, populate this flywheel of content that will keep turning and turning with new things.
yeah.
And viewers love new. They love, free, and they love new. So you can kind of fulfill that new category with new things that your customers are doing with your product, or like I said, new products that you have coming out. So that's just a great way to, stay relevant and stay engaged.
Yeah. And I like the point that you made in terms of using it for your internal feedback for your team, right? It's like you said, what do they love? Whether you're going to leverage the content for your funnels, maybe you're just leveraging it for your team so you guys can know. It's kind of keeping your eyes on the streets, right? It's figuring out what does your customers want to see, what do they like, what they don't like. And when you see that in video form as a brand, you really can see their emotions of like what they're disliked with, what they like, what they want to see. So it allows you to make even better decisions because you have that emotion there to really make the decisions with.
Yeah, it's great data that you can
Great idea.
get. You
Both of
can,
them.
from your testimonials, you can generate transcripts, and
Yeah.
then you can even feed them into Chat GTP to see like what's the big thing that everyone's talking about? What's the problem that everyone's talking about? So
Yeah.
it's a great form of customer research, as you said. And then the other thing I love about is whenever I'm working on a testimonial project, my favorite thing is when I first send that testimonial to a client, 80-90% of the time they respond with emotion. They're like, I love that. I had no idea that my customer got such benefit out of what I'm doing. So it really means a lot to people internally at a company to see the benefit that their product or service that they're working on is bringing to customers. So it makes you want to, do more, work
Or-
harder with your product. So
Yeah.
it's a great motivator for your internal team as well.
Let me tell you, when you get a testimonial, a video testimonial, it feels so good because you're working so hard to build something that's actually like a pain, you're solving a pain for your customer. So to see how they appreciate it and that you're doing your job well, not only does it feel so good to you, so you're internally happy, but now you can shout it to the rooftops, and then
Yes.
everyone could also see why amazing you are and why your customers love you so much. So it's an emotional trigger as a brand, but also it's an emotional trigger for your customers because now they can see why they love you so much. That's a great
Yeah, and yeah, bring it back to your point about the emotional component of it. That's the beauty of video. You are not going to get that from just, someone typing an email or filling out a review just from a text testimony. You're not going to get that emotion like
yeah,
you would with video. So that's why video is really, like you said, kind of a game changer
yeah.
in terms of the testimonial.
I agree. So now let's go back to the sales side, right? So we talked about why they need it for brand awareness and what the difference is. So now, well, what's the win when it comes to sales? I guess we all know you get more revenue, right? But what does that look like? Because sometimes it's not always going to be like we said before, it's not always going to be a quick win, right? Sometimes it takes time to kind of like go through the funnel. So tell me what a win is for on the sales side.
Yes, thank you for keeping me on track, China. I know I went off
No, that was a good
there.
conversation. That was a lot of gems were dropped. So thank you.
Good, good, good. But thank you. So yeah, in terms of sales, I like to look at as, are the number of sales calls you're having going up? Like for instance, if you put testimonials, right above your contact us form, are more people filling out that form after they watch that testimonial? And that's something with your website you should be able to measure and really should be able to see the data. And then, the other thing you can think about is on a sales call, are people mentioning, oh, I saw that video of your other customer. I'm having that same problem. Can you help me with this? So
Mm,
that's like an immediate thing where if they hadn't watched that video, they probably wouldn't have jumped on that sales call.
okay.
And then if you have a consumer product, obviously, putting videos, for instance, in your product display pages, you should see a jump in sales because people are going to be more engaged with that video, learn more about that product, learn about your customers who are going to have similar problems to them, and really be excited that this product can solve their problem. So your sales are going to be up by including that video with your product.
So that goes also back to A/B testing, right? You're A/B testing what videos is going to work for your sales pages, for your sales strategy, and then, putting them in and out depending on what's working, what's not. And then when you find a solution that works, then you can just supercharge that
Yep.
growth that way.
Yep.
Oh, wow, that's
Yeah, double down on that.
so really what brands can look out for is you can use video testimonials two ways, either for brand awareness or for sales. Is there any other ways they can leverage it? Are those the two main ways to kind of get an ROI from it?
Yeah, those are great. The one thing I would add is addressing objections.
Okay.
So, like I said, people are going to be skeptical that, you can help them, that your product is going to solve their problem. So, showing a testimonial from a customer who, again, has a similar problem and was maybe unsure if your product could solve it, but then, bought your product and it did solve their problem because of A, B, and C, that's going to address the objection in your lead's mind, and that's going to remove that doubt, and that's going to make you more trustworthy to that lead. So that's another great way in terms of a longer sales process that someone who might have stopped halfway through the sales process because of the doubt in their mind and gone somewhere else. Instead they watched this video and related to it and decided to go through and make that purchase. So that's another great way a video testimonial can be used.
Oh wow, I like that. So listen, you've dropped so much knowledge today, especially for brands that might have a pain point of how do I leverage the testimonials, and then kind of what is the win of if I share these testimonials, you know? So if you had to leave us with a takeaway when it comes to video content, or no, actually, I have a question before that, is what is a fun fact that you've discovered since working in the video space that a lot of brands don't know about when it comes to why you need video content for your brand? Is there like a fun fact that you came across that's kind of like, wow, I didn't know that.
No, no, that's a really good question. Yeah, I think the kind of the democratization of video and the fact that you don't need, a big fancy camera, lots of fancy lights, to produce video anymore. The important thing is the story you're trying to tell. And, just where things have trended, where that story and that authenticity is so much more important than something that's slick and has a lot of bells and whistles to it. I think I have kind of a documentary filmmaker background, and kind of coming from that background and being able to tell those stories in a truthful way, I think is just such a great thing. And it can be so effective, and not a huge price point and not a huge investment, that it's just so powerful. Like you said, it's a superpower for video, I think.
Yeah. And you know what? Now brands, you don't have an excuse anymore, right? Because now everything's accessible. Anyone can create your
Yes.
video. Everyone has smartphones, right? So even if you're not using a platform like Vidlo to capture it, you can have them capture it on their own device, edit it yourself, and share. So there's no excuse, right? Everyone can be using video testimonials, video content to supercharge their brand and to really get the brand awareness and the sales that you need. So Alex, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for just dropping so much knowledge, so many gems on like really why brands need to leverage video content. And please let us know where we can find you. You guys, if you guys need help on how to leverage content, Alex is your guy. He's a strategist and can really shape the way that you tell your brand story around video testimonials. So please let us know where we can find you, where they should connect with you at. That would be great.
Yeah, well, yeah, first of all, China, thank you so much. I had so much fun chatting with you, and learned a lot from you as well. So I really appreciate the opportunity. And yeah, I'm very active on LinkedIn. That's where you mostly find me. I'm trying to post, every weekday, and I love having conversations with people who have questions about video. How can I get started? Tips for being on camera. Where can I use this content? I love just having those discussions with people. So please, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd love to talk to anyone who's interested.
Also, well, you know what, Alex, you're one of our partners now, so we'll be sending our clients your way when it comes to how they really need to strategize how they leverage their content. Because sometimes people get the content and they don't know what to do with it, right? So, how can Alex help us figure out exactly how do you leverage it on your website, social media platforms, or wherever you're at? Oh, you're gonna, Alex, thank you
Oh
again.
yeah, just to add that, yeah, I see that all the time where it's overwhelming. You have all this great content, but you don't know how to dive in and start getting, key pieces of content that you can actually use in your sales process. So I think that's hopefully a huge pain point I can solve and help with, to kind of strategize, where you can use this content and what's the most efficient and effective way to do it.
Awesome. Well, Alex, thank you again for taking the time. I hope you guys learned so much as I have just in this short time. Until our next webinar, we will see you guys very soon. Thanks again.